Thank you for joining me, Ashwin Berry, on NMH at 1, where we highlight the news making waves in Namibia and beyond, ranging from current affairs to community stories, sports and economic news. Coming up in this broadcast, residents protest death of 18-year-old shot in Rundu's Millennium Park. Menzies board to decide the fate of staff. And the 9th edition of Dr. Hage Geingob Cup to take place on the 18th of November. Follow all our programs on Oneuptwo.com or DSTV 285 or GoTV 25 in Namibia. Next up, Midday News Update. U.S. President Joe Biden's administration is to build a section of border wall in southern Texas in an effort to stop rising levels of immigration. Around 32 kilometers will be built in Starr County along its border with Mexico, where officials report high numbers of crossings. Building a border wall was a signature policy of Donald Trump as president and fiercely opposed by Democrats. In 2020, Mr. Biden promised he would not build another foot of wall if elected, but the rising number of illegal border crossings has made the issue a vulnerable one for the president. More than 245,000 crossings have been made this year, government data shows, and September is expected to be a record month. Of course, those visuals were from Namibia, and no wall needs to be built here. Stay with us as we head into visual news shortly.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master. Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
Following the death of 18-year-old Apo Malaka Sipilikita, who was shot in Rundu's Millennium Park 2 weeks ago, residents of the town protested and handed over a petition to the Kavango East Police, where they are seeking justice. The shooter is not yet arrested and police investigations continue. Sipilikita was a grade 10 student at Rundu Senior Secondary School. The motive for the murder is not yet known.
Deterrence and public trust in the law. Ladies and gentlemen, before the tragic and senseless incident that took the life of our brother from us, Sipilikita Malakia was much more than just a name. He was a young man full of promises and potential, a vibrant soul who touched lives of many in our community. He was a brother, a source of unwavering support to his siblings and the entire family. In their shared moments of laughter and encouragement, in their dreams and aspirations, Malaka's presence illuminates their lives, making the bond of family all more than profound.
On behalf of my regional commander, and I have took note of the following from your remarks that you made as you read the petition. This petition is drafted in such a way that it's clearly understood. You must understand that just recently we had a shooting incident in Magusha where they claimed the life of the elders and should go back to you, the community. The assistance and cooperation that I had as I led that investigation was very swiftly, and it led to the arrest of the two involved in the recovery of that firearm. But that took place at a home state, where the distance of home states are far from each other. And this one took place in a close proximity of people. That's as you said, We are hard at work, starting from the time, as you saw, my investigators on the ground, and in the search of exhibits, in the search of leads, and we're still carrying on. In receiving this petition, it is so sad. Malaka is a person that I also knew in person, and I know exactly what type of kid he is.
Now, the young Carter Cecil Courts Jr. is set to take part in the International ROK Cup finals, Iriada Marie van der Walt reports.
The 9-year-old Carter Cecil Courts Jr. is currently in Italy to take part in the International Rock Division finals. He recently became one of the first sportsmen in Namibia to receive national colours in motorsport, as was confirmed by Derek Jacobs, the Secretary General of the Namibia Motorsport Federation. His father, Cecil Courts Sr., who also shared these precious snaps all the way from Italy, said that the young competitor last year ended in a tie in the Micromax karting division after the semi-finals and opting not to take part in the finals. Courts Sr. says that they start practicing tomorrow, and did they set up today? There are 72 karts who will take part in Cecil Courts Jr.'s class and over 400 karters who will take part in this event over this week and next week. All of this before the national karting finals are held at the Tony Rust racetrack on 4 November.
Stay with us as Namibian Sun leads us into the newspaper review segment.
Neo Paints has established a 67-year Namibian legacy, creating personalized paint solutions that blend quality and innovation for the Namibian people. We pride ourselves in being a 100% Namibian-owned company, investing in our country and our people by employing and empowering true Namibians. With every brushstroke, Neo Paints commits to our quality guarantee and always delivering a coat of excellence. At Neo Paints, we always stay true to our country. We are as Namibian as you.
Development Bank of Namibia CEO Dr. John Statler says striking a balance between the developmental impact mandate of the bank and its financial sustainability would boost its performance after the institution recorded losses of $251.9 million Namibian dollars for the year ended March 2023. Now, DBN's integrated annual report for the year ended March 2022 showed further losses of $191.1 million Namibian dollars. The development lender's annual report showed that it had to write off $704 million Namibian dollars in impaired loans for 2023 alone, while 109 million in impaired loans had to be written off in the previous year, according to notes provided. Of the total, loans of the tune of 45 million Namibian dollars were settled over the same period. Pension polymath Tillman Friedrich has warned that the mooted introduction of a national pension fund will see smaller funds hemorrhaging members due to their inability to contain costs. He made the remarks in a letter to the industry outlining the effects the envisaged national pension fund would have on the overall landscape. Given the absence of economies of scale in our industry, the proposed national pension fund will exacerbate the challenges by siphoning off membership from existing funds, particularly if it does not provide enrollment exemption to members of existing funds, Friedrich said. He also warned that any plans on the part of the government institution's pension fund could lead to a scenario where existing pension fund administrators face potential demise. If you take away people's livelihood, you kill that person. And that's what I told the people of Parliament, so said Renier Bogard, a former employee of Air Namibia, yesterday. More than 600 former employees of Air Namibia are still waiting for their outstanding pension money 3 years after the national airline was liquidated. A group of these employees met yesterday at the office of the Namibian Regulatory Authority for Financial Institutions in Windhoek to find out why the financial regulator has not yet instructed the liquidators to pay out this money. This after a waiting period had already expired last Friday. If the government passes new regulations, commercial banks that want to repossess houses from their defaulters will be forced to sell these properties at the actual market value. This to ease the debt burden on the owners. Another factor that must be considered is home equity, which refers to how much of a home's value an owner controls compared to what the borrower of the mortgage loan controls. This means any down payment the owner makes and any valuation process of the home must be considered to bring the value down from the actual amount owed. The Bank of Namibia and the Ministry of Justice are doing everything in their power to put a stop to the erratic manner in which commercial banks are currently repossessing houses. Calling on farmers to demonstrate their perseverance, the Namibian Agricultural Union held its annual Congress and General Meeting yesterday. Issues such as uranium mining in the Stampriet aquifer are causing a stir, no less than the financial abuses of Mitko the day before the LPO meeting. That is what Algemene Zeitung leads with on its front page. Local farmer Piet Gauss, as president of the association, together with Tinus Pretorius as vice president and managing director Ruli Ventam, have made up the leadership of the Namibian Agricultural Union. On page 2, AZ reports on emergency medical air in Namibia, which suffers from an alarming shortage of ambulances. Only about 100 of the 267 ambulances are operational, leaving many Namibians without immediate access to medical care. The remaining ambulances are either under repair, written off due to accidents, or undergoing extensive maintenance. This situation raises concerns about the country's ability to meet the World Health Organization's recommended ratio of 1 ambulance per 100,000 population for timely emergency medical care. Stay with us as we talk Nampower with the Namibian after the break.
Welcome to What's Cooking, where culinary passion meets expert insights.
Somebody must really want to cook and want to cook good food.
Immerse yourself in the bustling world of professional kitchens as top chefs create mouthwatering dishes. Join us for in-depth interviews as our host explores the experiences and expertise of our guest chefs. Don't miss out. Tune in to What's Cooking on NTV every Friday at 2100 hours and let the culinary adventure begin.
According to the Namibian, Nampower Managing Director Simpson Haulofu says no one has been held accountable for the disappearance of $8 million Namibian worth of equipment at the company. This is despite recommendations that 2 of the company's top electricity executives should be charged with negligence. A forensic investigation recommended that the parastatal should charge Nampower's chief engineering assistant Johan Ho and its former executive generation Renach Diagao with negligence. Landless People's Movement Deputy Leader Henny Sebeb has called for the protection of census enumerators, saying that they are being harassed by people for simply doing their job. He said this in Parliament on Tuesday while posing questions to the Minister in the Office of the Presidency on steps to be taken to protect census workers. This comes after videos have been circulated on social media of census workers being insulted and chased away, and of people refusing to be counted. New Era reports that Popular Democratic Movement leader McHenry Venani expressed disappointment after his proposed private members' bill on free sanitary pads was opposed in Parliament. Yesterday, the proposal was opposed by Deputy Minister of Education Faustina Kelly, and after the House was divided to vote, 30 SWAPO parliamentarians voted against the bill. The proposed bill aims to implement free distribution of sanitary products to underprivileged schoolgirls, establish a system for identification, distribution, and monitoring. This, according to Venani, is betrayal to young girls. The proposed Free Sanitary Materials for Schoolgirls Act 2023 made provision for the Health Ministry and Education Ministry to oversee the provision of free sanitary materials to schoolgirls in need, identify schools based on financial need, and jointly monitor the effectiveness of the program and report annually to Parliament. While significant progress has been made in green hydrogen production in Namibia, including the $10 billion Hyphen Hydrogen Energies agreement with the government, scholars and members of civil societies have voiced concerns over the green hydrogen frenzy. The ambitious project promises to unlock Namibia's potential of becoming one of the world's leading green hydrogen production hubs by leveraging the country's world-leading wind and solar resources, vast open spaces, and stable investment climate underpinned by strong democratic values. However, civil societies are yet to be convinced of its potential. They have since raised concerns about the project only benefiting a selected few at the expense of locals. The rand yesterday morning traded at its worst level against the US dollar since early June, with interest in the greenback surging as strong as US data fueled speculation the Federal Reserve will once again need to hike interest rates and keep them elevated for a sustained period. The rand and the Namibian dollar was trading about 0.3% weaker at 19.38 rands as of 9:15 earlier, trading as low as 19.43. This is the weakest level since early June, where South Africa was grappling with concerns stemming from US accusations it was supplying arms to Russia. A panel subsequently found no evidence that arms were loaded onto the Lady R vessel. Employees of the ground handling firm Menzies are in for another stressful wait. Stay with us as we get into economic news.
eTicket, your online ticket solution for events and event marketing, bringing you ease of mind and making sure that your event gets out there. For more information, contact events@nmh.com.na.
Employees of the ground handling firm Menzies are in for another stressful wait as the company's board is due to make a decision on their futures following a high court judgment against them to return to the Hosea Kutako International Airport as a ground handling provider. Reacting to the recent judgment, Smith said the board would have to decide on the fate of the employees. Menzies was evicted from HKIA on 19 August and replaced by Paragon, which is in a joint venture arrangement with Ethiopian Airlines. Menzies has been providing ground handling services since 2014, but failed in its appeal against the NAC's request for it to vacate the premises so that Paragon can take over operations. Menzies signed a 5-year contract with the airport in 2014. The agreement lapsed on 31 December 2021 and was subject to a right of renewal for a 3-year period. Prior to the termination, new bids were invited and both parties agreed to a 6-month extension until 30 June 2022. Paragon's application was successful during the bidding process, while Menzies was denied on the grounds of non-compliance with certain lender conditions. Stay with us as we head into the economic indicators.
Hello and welcome to today's Sports Rep Show.
I am your host, Jesse Jackson Kauraifa. In replay, Namibia, who had won the toss for the first time on this tour.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, starting off with tennis news, both on the WTA for women's and
as promised, let's have a look at the economic indicators. The Namibian dollar trades at 19.53 next to the US dollar, and 23.64 Namibian dollars gets you 1 British pound, with 20.51 getting you a euro. Most selected NSX stock closing prices maintained their value, with First Rand Namibia Limited on 49.00 points. It's yellow across the board, however, the overall index closed down 0.61%. Commodities, gold is looking good with a 0.02% uptick, whilst copper, platinum and Brent crude oil are in the red. Kenyan President William Ruto has announced a major cabinet reshuffle. Stay with us as we head into news from Africa.
Welcome to What's Cooking, where culinary passion meets expert insights.
Somebody must really want to cook and want to cook good food.
Immerse yourself in the bustling world of professional kitchens as top chefs create mouth-watering dishes. Join us for in-depth interviews as our host explores the experiences and expertise of our guest chefs. Don't miss out. Tune in to What's Cooking on NTV every Friday at 2100 hours and let the culinary adventure begin.
Kenyan President William Ruto has announced a major cabinet reshuffle, placing the Foreign Affairs Ministry under the Chief Minister's office and reassigning 7 other ministers. It comes after the president publicly criticized his ministers recently, accusing some of them of being clueless about their portfolios. President Ruto says the changes are meant to optimize performance and enhance service delivery, as set out in the administration's manifesto. The Foreign Affairs Ministry will now be headed by the Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi, with the previous minister Alfred Mutua now heading the Tourism Ministry. Mutua had in May said that Kenya had entered a deal for legal migration for work in Canada, but the North American nation later denied such an agreement and warned against fraudulent immigration schemes. In recent weeks, Mutua has been the public face of Kenya's offer to deploy 1,000 policemen to Haiti. Also affected is the former Trade Minister Moses Kuria, who will now head the Public Service Ministry. 11 separate opposition parties in Zambia have joined forces to condemn the economic hardships, poverty and unemployment they say have risen under President Hakainde Hichilema. Leaders from the parties who held a joint press briefing on Wednesday said they were deeply concerned and called for a national conference to discuss the state of the country. In an open letter to President Hichilema, they listed 18 issues, among them the very high price of basic goods and the arbitrary arrests and constant harassment of members of the opposition. The letter also alleged that the government's promotion and multinational corporate foreign and ultra-liberal policies caused tremendous damage to the economy and to the well-being of our people. The Socialist Party, the All People's Congress Party and former governing party, the Patriotic Front, are among those that signed the letter. The Southern African country has experienced a 3-year debt crisis. It became the first African nation to default on its debt payments during the COVID pandemic. Despite being copper-rich, loans and high interest rates have severely restricted Zambia's ability to invest in critical social programs and infrastructure. In June, President Hichilema unveiled the outlines of a deal aimed at bringing Zambia out of the red. Stay with us as we head into international news. Now, more than 75,000 employees at Kaiser Permanente began one of the largest healthcare worker strikes in recent U.S. history on Wednesday after failing to resolve a dispute over staffing levels. The strike of union members at the largest nonprofit healthcare organization in the United States began on Wednesday morning in sites in Virginia and the District of Columbia. It is due to spread to the West Coast later in the day, where the vast majority of the company's workforce is based. The walkout will be the largest healthcare worker strike in U.S. history. The coalition of Kaiser Permanente unions, an umbrella group representing local unions, said in a statement last month. The coalition threatened to engage in further strike action in November if Kaiser continues to commit unfair labor practices. The union wants to pay increases across the board and protections against subcontracting and outsourcing of labor, among other demands, according to the recent statements from the coalition. In a statement, Kaiser Permanente said it planned to keep its medical centers running through the 3-day strike. At least 14 people were killed and 102 are missing after heavy rains caused a Himalayan glacial lake in northeast India to burst its banks, and rescuers were being hampered by washed-out bridges and fast-flowing rivers, said officials on Thursday. The Lonak Lake in Sikkim state burst its banks on Wednesday, causing major flooding, which authorities said had impacted the lives of 22,000 people. It is the latest deadly weather event in South Asia's mountains being blamed on climate change. As of early Thursday, the State Disaster Management Agency said 26 people were injured and 102 were missing, 22 of which were Army personnel. 11 bridges had been washed away. Video footage from the ANI news agency showed flood water surging into built-up areas where several houses collapsed, Army bases and other facilities were damaged, and vehicles submerged. Satellite imagery showed that nearly 2/3 of the lake seems to have been drained. The Weather Department warned of landslides and disruption to flights as more rain is expected over the next 2 days in parts of Sikkim and neighboring states. Stay with us as we head into local sports, starting with the Dr. Hage Geingob Cup.
Hello and welcome to today's Sports Rep Show.
I am your host, Jesse Jackson Kauraifa. In replay, Namibia, who had won the toss for the first time on this tour.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, starting off with tennis news, both on the WTA for women's and
The highly anticipated 9th edition of the Dr. Hage Geingob Cup, which will take place on 18 November, was launched in Windhoek yesterday. The big clash will see Namibian football legends go up against their South African counterparts in a repeat of the famous 1998 COSAFA Cup qualification match at the Independence Stadium, in which Namibia beat South Africa 3-2. For the launch, the organizers flew in one of the stars from the winning clash, Dr. Khumalo, who fired friendly warning shots at the likes of Ricardo Manetti, stating that there would be a repeat of the 1998 scoreline. Certainly looking forward to that. The Built-It Under-13 School Soccer and Netball Tournament, which took place over the weekend at AI Steenkamp Sports Field, was a captivating event where young talents showcased their skills while their schools cheered them on. The tournament also featured an enticing prize, 15,000 Namibian dollars worth of building materials for the best supporting school. Hamas Primary School proved worthy of netball bragging rights by defeating Betold Primary School 8-7 in the finals. Hamas' renowned Metarare Shikuro dazzled her way to victory, securing the Woman of the Match crown. Despite the loss, Betold supporters did not leave empty-handed, as their unwavering support earned them a consolation package of 15,000 Namibian dollars worth of building material. Let's head into international sports, starting with Champions League action. Newcastle claimed a stunning 4-1 win over Paris Saint-Germain yesterday in their first Champions League match at St. James Park in 20 years, while holders Manchester City scored 2 late goals to get the better of RB Leipzig. Elsewhere in Europe's elite club competition, there was a victory for Barcelona in Xavi Hernandez's 100th game as coach and an agonizing last-gasp defeat for Celtic against Lazio. In Formula One, runaway leader Max Verstappen is poised to seal a third consecutive Drivers' World title triumph in Qatar this weekend and may become Formula One's first Saturday champion in 4 decades. The 26-year-old Dutchman, winner of 13 races this year, leads his Red Bull teammate and only remaining championship rival Sergio Perez by 177 points after 16 rounds of the 22-race season. That luxurious advantage means he only needs to score 3 points to triumph again and could achieve that or better in Saturday's sprint at the Lusail International Circuit. Yannick Sinner beat Daniil Medvedev to win the China Open on Wednesday, edging out the world number 3 in a largely deadlocked men's final that came down to a pair of high-stakes tie-breaks in Beijing. The Italian triumphed 7-6, 7-6 to take the first such tournament since 2019, after Beijing finally ditched its tight pandemic-era health restrictions. Neither man was able to break the other's serve in a close-fought match, but Sinner came close in the opening set, where he walloped a presentable overhead volley long on breakpoint and allowed the Russian to hold from deuce. Stay with us as we head into the highlights from today's broadcast shortly.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master. Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
Looking at some of our highlights, more than 75,000 employees at Kaiser Permanente began one of the largest healthcare worker strikes in recent U.S. history. And the highly anticipated 9th edition of the Dr. Hage Geingob Cup will take place on 18 November, and it was launched in Windhoek yesterday. Those have been your highlights. Aina Raizakweyo takes over tomorrow. Have a good day.